Good morning or afternoon or evening, guys. In this video, I want to try to answer the unanswerable question, and that's when is Bitcoin likely going to top out, and how would that look for altcoins as well? We can only invest if we have some kind of an expectation, of course. Otherwise, we're just doing something. And to be clear, disclaimer, I don't know. Okay, nobody knows. But we can take a look at the data and see what it comes up with. So welcome to the Fomo Factory. Like the video if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on. And I've made a sheet for the Alpha Factory. So if you are in the Alpha Factory, you have unlimited access to this. Now it's time for me next week to update this once again. But I want to go over this when Bitcoin on average topped out, the average price for Bitcoin to top out, and what that could potentially mean for the altcoin market. So far, Bitcoin is doing very well. We had Trump coming into the office, and maybe some people, they expected insane returns overnight. You know, that's usually not how it works. Nevertheless, if we look at this cycle so far, it is doing very well. And we can say like, yeah, it's because of news. You know, news doesn't really matter that much. Of course, it helps, right? But the cycle just moves like this anyway. And we had the halving, we had the ETF, we have Trump, and we might get a Bitcoin strategic reserve. And who knows, like there will be so many more narratives that we can think of. Other countries stepping in. I know the United States is basically the biggest one for this kind of news. But if the rest of the world is adopting crypto in the same rate, yeah, then that could have a big effect on the crypto market, of course. Now, yeah, I mean, at the moment of recording, $105,000 for Bitcoin is definitely not bad. I mean, we made a new all-time high this week. Literally this week. So yeah, don't let anybody tell you that the crypto market doesn't look good, because it truly does, right? Like, and so far, it is not even diminishing. And in my opinion, it will be eventually. I mean, that's just how crypto works, right? It takes a lot more money to flow in the market to move the market, and that will diminish over time. However, if we do compare Bitcoin in the current cycle, the purple line, to the cycle in 2017, it is kind of scary how much we are on track with 2017. And yeah, 2017 was definitely not the worst cycle to be in. Right now, I don't expect to, that this cycle is going to end up with 111x again as well. I think nobody does. It's not impossible, but it's not on my bingo card. Now, what you'll notice is that if you compare the last cycle to 2017, it was also following it, right? And at a certain point, it decorrelated and it said like, hey, the diminishing returns are popping up right here, right? And I will expect the same at a certain point for this cycle as well. Right now, you might say that the last cycle, there was time-wise, it made sense, but price-wise, we got cut off a little bit by a lot of bad stuff happening in the macro. And without that, we probably went higher. Yeah, then again, time-wise, it made sense, and it had to happen, I guess. I think that's very, very not that it's not uncommon. Now, when it comes to when Bitcoin topping out, look, there again is nobody that can tell you, right? We can only take our best guess. So far, the guesses that have worked for me on this crypto journey has been saying that this time isn't different, because so far it was never. And once I started applying that mindset, I started to make money. So I won't change that until it actually changes. And I suggest not thinking too much that this time is any different. So if it's not different, then we have a lot of data to look for. First thing, very simple. Bitcoin always tops out at the end of the post-halving year so far, right? It's now the beginning of the post-halving year. Could it be that we do it a little earlier this time? Of course, but the end or the beginning, that's too different for me. That's too different. And it doesn't make sense time-wise for me that we top out here right now. Now, I know that a lot of people that are watching this video, you probably as well feel like, yeah, but I don't care really about Bitcoin, right? I didn't buy Bitcoin. I came into the altcoin market, and I will get there definitely. But if let's say that we are all bearish on Bitcoin and that Bitcoin is going to top out here, then it's not necessarily really bullish for the altcoin market, right? And it's easier to measure Bitcoin as it has more history and more adoption right now. So if Bitcoin goes to 200K, then there's a better chance of your altcoins going up than if Bitcoin goes to 40 or 50K, of course, right? So we have to have a little understanding of Bitcoin. But so far, I mean, looking good. Bitcoin making new all-time highs this week. The news has never been that extremely bullish for Bitcoin. The total crypto market is still above its previous all-time high. Retested that level actually and is now on its way to make new all-time highs. So based on this, there's absolutely nothing to be bearish about. I know, of course, that a lot of people, they look at Ethereum and be like, yeah, Ethereum, it's not doing well, right? And therefore, we are not in an alt season. I don't know necessarily if these two things have to do something with each other. So far, we always had an alt season with Ethereum. Then again, if you look at others on their Bitcoin pair, others is everything outside of the top 10. So no Ethereum included, right? And this always went up. So altcoins without Ethereum also went up. So I don't know if we need Ethereum. And it's maybe also safe to say that, you know, Solana is now kind of our new Ethereum. But Ethereum going up definitely helps because a lot of coins are built on the Ethereum chain, and therefore they are paired with Ethereum. And if someone creates a coin on ETH, they basically say, hey, I want my 1,000 coins to be worth 1 ETH. That's the way the liquidity is added. And yeah, if Ethereum goes up, then these other altcoins automatically go up with it because the liquidity of Ethereum is going up. So at the end of the day, an Ethereum run will definitely help. And by this point, I also think that if Ethereum goes up, people feel like, well, if even Ethereum goes up, everything can go up. So then there will be an alt season anyway, psychological wise. Ethereum on its Bitcoin pair, yeah. I mean, it is not looking strong at the moment. If it has to bounce anywhere, then I would say the bounce that we just had, there's a good chance that that was the low. But we'll never know for sure, right? So Bitcoin looking really good. Ethereum lagging really hard. However, Solana on its Ethereum pair, for example, completely mooning. So Solana is making up for a lot of that. Now, except for some Solana meme coins, we don't really see this yet on the Solana chain, right? Like a lot of tokens on Solana. Some gaming tokens, but also some DeFi. I mean, Radium went up, but a lot of tokens on Solana did not actually went up that hard yet. So it kind of also says to me like, hey, people still believe in Solana, right? They still believe that Solana has room to grow. They don't want to let go of it. And that's quite understandable. I mean, if you look at the Solana dominance, right? Like, this is not, I don't know how this line is drawn. Well, this is not bearish, right? On the shorter time frame, it might be a little bit, but this is, I think, not what most people see. They just look at the Solana price and that looks good, right? But the Solana dominance in a clear uptrend broke down. We had the Trump news and it tried to break that uptrend, but it didn't work. So I also kind of feel like, ooh, if that cannot do it, then what can? So maybe, but it's all speculation, right? It's just me thinking out loud. Maybe this could be the top-ish for the Solana dominance, right? And that people now feel like, okay, let's move it from Solana into ETH. Because again, if you look at Solana Ethereum, yeah, I mean, if you want to buy Ethereum with your Solana, it's now the best moment ever, basically. So we'll see. But the macro is looking good as well. S&P making new highs, right? I mean, this is in a clear uptrend, and a S&P uptrend can go on for a long time. You might look at it and be like, wow, be careful, it's an all-time high. Then again, January 2021, it was also sitting at an all-time high, and it went on for more than a year. Right, so an all-time high doesn't mean that that's the top. Of course, price discovery can be big. The DXY coming down right now, and this is not unimportant, right? If you want to see risk assets go up, you want to see the dollar weakening, right? Because these risk assets, they kind of go against the dollar, and it was on a rampage, to be honest. And now the dollar, it has a pretty sharp fall. Now I must say that this level right here, around 1.6.5, 1.7, should be decent support. I mean, it has been resistance for 2.5 years. So let's see if we can break that. If we break that, then the party is really on. And another thing that I don't look at a lot, which I think is super important though, is the Fed balance sheet, because the Fed balance sheet is basically, if this goes down, this is not really good for risk assets. Now, Bitcoin doesn't really care, as Bitcoin is relative to the altcoin market, at least, not really a risk asset anymore, right? This thing has been going down and Bitcoin felt like, yeah, whatever, bye. However, if you look at altcoins on their Bitcoin pair, then you can see that they kind of do care, right? The Fed balance sheet goes down, alt season cools off, balance sheet goes up, alt season full glory, balance sheet goes down, altcoins on the Bitcoin pair down. We are getting in the macro environment with Trump and etc., where it is definitely thinkable that the balance sheet is going up again, or at least sideways, right? This kind of showing like, is it QE or QT? Now it's still QT. And people said like, we need QE to get an alt season. Last cycle, the balance sheet was going sideways, right? We didn't need QE over there. And this is, Benjamin Cohen said this, but it makes a lot of sense, right? So maybe we just need to see that QT, quantitative tightening, stops, right? And that is, in my opinion, likely to happen this year. And that could be the narrative trigger for alt season, apart from the charts. But now let's get into Bitcoin. I just wanted to get this out of the way real quick. I don't want to go over this too long. But if you look at Bitcoin, when it is likely topping out, this is the altcoin market. Let's start with Bitcoin. The cycle, right? Very simple. We have a 4-year cycle, and it topped November, December 2013, 2017, 2021. So 2025 should be, if you don't want to overcomplicate anything, very likely. And that might be understandable as well, because a lot of people might say like, well, that's too easy, so it won't happen. And therefore, a lot of people don't believe that it's going to happen. And the market often does what people don't believe. So market throwing some reverse psychology on us. Monthly RSI for Bitcoin. The RSI on the monthly seems to follow an important trend line right here, right? There's a full history of Bitcoin from 2010. There's a monthly RSI, green, flashing green, that tells you like, ooh, be careful. And then this trend line, it always gets rejected, right? It's now 77, maybe a little different. I have to update it. But this is from a month ago, so it should not be that big of a difference. In the previous cycles, from 77 to the top, right, from where we are now to the top, it took about 222 days to get there. 222 days from now will be July 2025. But the last cycle, this indicator was very off because it flashed in January 2021 already. But Bitcoin had a rally until November, right? So it's like the monthly RSI flashing right now, sitting at this trend line, and you'll be like, oh, sell. In the last cycle, we still had a year of bull market to go. Stochastic RSI, from the moment the stochastic RSI enters the overbought area, right? Overbought right here in the upside. Usually when it gets there, people be like, oh, it's overbought, be careful. But it can stay there for a long time, right? From the moment it happened, it took about 22 months on average before the top was in. That would take us to April 2025. So this is one indicator telling us like, okay, could be a little left translated based on purely this. And apart from all of this, right, these are charts, and I think that that's way more helpful than news. Then again, if you look at the news, again, the stuff that is going on right now in the US, it is absolutely crazy. Like, if you would have told me this 5 years ago, I'd be like, dude, no way, right? And yet here we are. Bitcoin is destined for big things, and it's now getting the highest form of adoption, basically. And it just started, right? Now, a lot of that might be by the rumor, sell the news, but a lot of this hasn't been put to effect yet, right? Like the strategic reserve isn't here yet, right? The adoption isn't really here yet. Yes, the USA, they bought some Bitcoin and Ethereum, but if you look at the amounts they bought, 45 million, I think, something like that, they'd be like, that's spare change for them, right? That might be their first little DCA. And also they could give a trigger to other countries like El Salvador. Like it worked out really well for them. But who the fuck is following El Salvador? Like if everybody did that, these countries would be wrecked, right? Until they started with Bitcoin. But now they see the US doing it. And now other countries might be like, oh, okay, if they do it, then maybe we should there might be more coming, right? But now it's the hype. Also, we never saw a bull market without an alt season. Usually alt season ends 2 months after the Bitcoin top. Alt season lasted 1 year, both previous cycles. Assuming that alt season has started, it should end by November 2025. That could mark a Bitcoin top for around September 2025, right? And again, that's assuming alt season has started. And someone asked in the comment like, hey, a couple of days ago you said it started and now you said it has to start. I'm not sure if I said like, hey guys, it has started. But what I remember mostly saying is that alt season, what I've been calling for a long time, end of 2024, beginning 2025. Yeah, it's January, right? Like for me, it's kind of beginning 2025. It could start any moment, or it started in November already, right? But it doesn't really feel like that, right? Because what do you define as started? For me, it's just bouncing off of this trend line, right? Here it started, here it started. Then again, we bounce off of this trend line, went down. If we now go up, yeah, then what's the start? Then you technically would still say that this bounce off the trend line was actually the start. But for sure, it doesn't feel like alt season for people, because we are also just like, we are at the bottom still, right? So everybody's saying like, whoa, what a fantastic alt season this has been so far. I don't know. Maybe for your specific altcoin, congratulations in that case, but overall it isn't. Then we have the Bitcoin halvings. From the Bitcoin halving, it took about 473 days on average to get to the top of the cycle. This would be August 2025 in that case. Top to top, it took 1,456 days from top to top. This would put us in November 2025. Retail cycle never tops without a big inflow of retail, all right? And that's in many ways very understandable because you need over euphoria to top out. The market never tops out on bad sentiment. The people that are already here are people with some experience, right? And they are usually not the ones getting wrecked at the top. So no, we haven't seen a lot of retail yet. Now it sits at 0.3. Last cycles, it took about an average of 9 months to get from 0.3 to the cycle top. That would put us in September 2025. Then we have the regression band for Bitcoin. And I want to put this thing up live to, well, it's kind of at the same level right now. But it shows when the market is over or undervalued. You see the green band was buying, red or around red is selling, right? We are now in the green. So that already tells us like, hey, topping out right now, that seems a little weird. From the moment it went overvalued until the top of the cycle in the last cycles, 10 months, 7 months, 12 months, average of 9.6. If we would break out now, that would put us in October. Note, we haven't broken out yet, right? And this sheet is a month old. So that would actually put us in November by now, because last time I checked, we haven't broken out yet. No, we haven't broken out yet. So that would, if that happens today, put us in November. A lot lines up with end of the year. MVRVZ score. This is a useful tool, really. If you want to sell anywhere close to the top, then this is one of the few tools that you can look at on its own, actually. It compares the market value and the realized value in other order to access when the market is either over or undervalued. Very simple. We look to be far from overvalued with a current score of 3.28. And in the last 2 cycles, it both took a year to get from that number to the top. So that would be December 2025. Risk levels, well, it's more of price prediction, not going over that. Fair value regression band. Bitcoin now sits between the lower band and the fair value. The last 3 cycles, it took an average of 40 months to get from this point to the top. This would put us in January 2026. So a lot indicates, most indicate end of the year, right? Now, that's already helpful for price prediction, because if we still have a year of bull market to go, it would be unlogical to assume that we go sideways for a year, right? That's not what happens in bull markets. So if we follow the other cycles, and so far, again, we are doing that, right? You saw the comparison to 2017 as well. Completely the same so far. If we just keep on doing that, which is not unlikely, which is most likely in my opinion, yeah, then we have a small year of bull market to go. Let's say 6 to, not 6, like 9 to 11 months, right? Yeah, then we have a long way of going up, right? If you look at the yearly chart for Bitcoin, you can see that in 2021, here we go, 2021, we went up with another 60%, right? And that doesn't sound like much, but 60% on 105K, it's quite a lot, right? 2017, 1,300%, right? And 2013, 5,000%. So, of course, very, very, very diminishing. However, 2021, we just went up with 60%, right? But it's also because the year before that, 2020, we went up quite hard with 300%. This year, 2024, we went up with 120%, not 300, right? So there's a very good chance that this year we're going to do a lot more than 60, although it is diminishing. So I don't think that narrative-wise, chart-wise, if you look at the sentiment, which is for some reason not really well, the amount of retail, etc., nothing indicates a top, really. And if we take a look at something else, I'm putting up a complete sheet while you just have it here as well, by the way. This is CoinGlass. And they have bull market peak indicators, sell at the top. And there are a lot of different indicators that helped previous cycles to predict is the top in or not. Pi cycle top indicator, Bitcoin rainbow chart, Pew multiple, 2 years MA multiplier, MVRVZ as well, etc., etc., etc. None of these indicators, 30 indicators, not a single of them has been hit so far. Look, it's not that the market is going to top out as soon as they all hit. A lot of indicators will be wrong, right? A lot will be, because they are already contradictory to each other. So one has to be wrong, right? But if none of them indicate it, I don't feel like they're all going to be wrong, right? That would be a little weird. So I would keep an eye on this as well, coinglass.com. You can find this there. It's just free. You just click this link and you'll have it. So again, what could that mean for the altcoin market? People say that my videos are too long. I understand that. I try to keep it shorter from next video on. I'm already failing, but I just want to give a lot of info. But what could that mean for the altcoin market? Depends. One thing you could look at, hey, the Bitcoin dominance, right? Let's take a look at it without stables, because that's most accurate in my opinion. If Bitcoin goes up 200K or whatever, right? I think that's really possible. And the dominance keeps on going up, then altcoins will still do well probably, but not compared to Bitcoin, right? However, if the Bitcoin dominance stays sideways or even goes down, then altcoins can explode. Now, it's very simple. In the post-halving year, there's always that the Bitcoin dominance goes down, right? Always. And we can now again look at narratives like, but now there are more altcoins, or no, it's about Bitcoin strategic reserve and this and that. It doesn't matter. The Bitcoin strategic reserve or Trump is just the news that makes Bitcoin go up, right? In 2021, we had just another bull market, but there was eventually news. Then again, it didn't stop people from eventually putting a lot of Bitcoin money into altcoins, right? And again, the ETFs probably won't do that, but that's like a fraction of the Bitcoin supply, right? A lot is still in hand of retails. And it's a fact that if people eventually made enough profit on a safe asset, they're going to put it into something more risky. Therefore, we see things like XRP now going up, Solana, the more risky assets, right? The higher cap altcoins, and eventually they will put that in the lower caps. Now, I made so many videos about alt season and my reasons for that, so I'm not going to go over it all. But one simple chart that keeps me chill at night is this: altcoins on the Bitcoin pair. Is alt season when it goes up, not alt season when it goes down. You might feel like, oh, it's taking too long, right? It's been a non-alt season for like 1,100 days right now. Then again, if you look at the last cycle, forget the news, right? Just look at your emotion in that case, if that's what you want to go off of. If you look at the last cycle, we had a non-alt season for 1,064 days, right? So it's practically the same, right? It's a 3% difference. That's fair enough in a complete 4-year cycle. The cycle before that, it was even longer, right? Alt season only happened in March post-halving year. Here it started beginning January, and here it started, well, maybe in November, or maybe it is going to start yet. I saw Benter, Ran, making a video saying, alt season, never again. And after a minute, he said like, no, I'm going to tell you how you can prepare for that alt season. I was like, oh man. But don't listen too much to the influences that try to get into your feelings, right? Like, I get it, but it's not different this time. This chart isn't. Nothing is so far. And maybe one day it will be. And then we have to shift. But let's not try to front run a market for being different, which is never the case, right? Altcoin dominance, also basically a chart that shows if it's alt season or not. If you look at this chart, very simply for me, I don't want to overcomplicate it. This trend line, parallel channel, has been intact for 10 years. It just tested this trend line again in November. And it exactly bounced right there. So that showed me, hey, this trend line is still intact. That's a good thing, because if it's still intact, hey, in this bull market, we went twice to the upper line, and here we went twice to the upper line. Let us do it once this time, right? 30% of the total crypto market. Total crypto market now sits at 3.5 trillion. Let's, I don't know, based on freaking nothing, let's say it goes to 5 trillion, right? Which I think is still not really that much, actually. But let's say 5 trillion. 30% of that is $1.5 trillion for the altcoin market. That's a huge gain from this point, right? And that's not even my most, like, I'm being kind of careful right here. So, but if you wonder, like, hey, why do you think there's going to be an alt season? There are a lot of videos I have on this channel about it. But chart-wise, it all really makes sense. So I think that holding on to strong altcoins right now in this market is just the way to go. If you want to be on the safer side, still buy Bitcoin, maybe make a 2-3x out of it if you're lucky. Right? Maybe if things get crazy, like everything is possible, but you know, it's historically seen, it's not the time, not the year for Bitcoin. And unfortunately, it works that a lot of people now feel like, yeah, but Bitcoin is running and altcoins are not. And all I do is just compare to last cycles. And I am like, hey, but it happened there as well. So are we not now then falling for the exact same trick? So yeah, that's it for my Bitcoin, whatever prediction, I don't want to call it that, expectation, okay? My expectation, which, disclaimer, will be wrong. You cannot make a prediction or an expectation in the crypto market and be completely right. So please don't come at me if it turns out not to be right. It's just that I have my goal And that's something I want to work towards too, right? And if my expectation is that the market is going to top out in November, it's not that I'm not already selling in July or anything, right? DCA towards your goal. I think that's the best approach. So if you like the video, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on, and I'll see you guys in the next one.